I just always appreciate Mississippi. I'm on a four-city stop from Greenville to Tupelo to Oxford, and love being in Jackson. Here to talk about Thomas Jefferson at Lemuria, which has been very kind to me for a long time. I think Franklin and Winston forward, right, for almost 10 years. And I do whatever my in-laws tell me as well. And I have a mother-in-law in Jackson. What I really found that surprised me was how driven Jefferson was by political ambition and a desire for power. You know, a lot of us think of Jefferson as the sage of Monticello, as a philosophical figure, as the author of the Declaration, the founder of the University of Virginia, more in the world of ideas. What I found consistently from year to year and age to age in his life was a consuming drive to make the ideal real through political means.
What do you think he would think of America today, and just looking back at the presidential election?
You know, he believed that the country had a long and complicated future ahead, and I think he would be thrilled that we're still here talking about him, and that we have made his promise that he articulated realer and realer from age to age. We still have a long way to go, but he once referred to the march of civilization as a cloud of light coming over the seacoast and across the continent, and where it stopped no one would know, and I think he'd be pleased that it's still moving.
A couple of political questions. The GOP is going to kind of look back at the election and kind of go through some of what happened, I guess the autopsy.
Sure.
What are your thoughts? What do they need to be looking for?
Forensic accounting, I think they call it.
The forensic accounting.
You know, my sense is that, just as a historian, this is not a partisan point, is that the Republican Party needs a DLC moment. You know, for those who know the history of the Democratic Party in the modern era, after the Walter Mondale defeat in 1984, more moderate figures in the party got together and created an infrastructure, a sensibility, repositioned the party, and won in 1992 and in 1996. Bill Clinton was the first Democratic president since FDR to win re-election. Now Barack Obama has done that as well. If I were a Republican, the fact that the two Democratic incumbents had won re-election after going 40, 50 years without it happening would be a troubling statistic.
You'd written a book about the religious impact on social conservatives in the Republican Party. Any thoughts there, looking back at the last election?
In conservative terms, the social issues are really more states' rights questions. And so that's really where I think a lot of those battles should unfold. I think the economic conservatives have a lot to think about in terms of deficit reduction and revenues. We're seeing that right now. But you know, the reason politics is so fascinating is there are ebbs as well as flows. And so today's absolute reality is tomorrow's unthinkable scenario. And 4 long years before the next presidential election.